Welcome to day 2 of this apparent Zoom intensive, this exploration and exposure of nothing and everything. You could say that this delivery of a song of freedom is coming from nothing, and in that is a kind of biblically dynamic exposure that there is no one, there's no thing, there's nowhere to get to, there's no when to wait for. No achievement, no destination, no journey, nothing at all. And despite being totally dynamic and extraordinary, paradoxically, it's completely wonderfully simple, natural, and ordinary all the same. There's nothing special about this exposure. It's actually the most simple thing imaginable, simple and natural. Of course, simple and natural makes it sound like something easy to get, and that's not what's meant, obviously. It's so simple that it's impossible to understand. The simplicity that would seem to apparently precede knowledge, the knowledge of being someone, the knowledge of this appearance being objectified, of being separate from it, distant from it. But the knowledge is just simply an illusion. And of course, naturally or seemingly commonly for many, the response to that statement or exposure is, well, how do you know this? Or what knows this? If this words or if these concepts are coming out, then what is it that knows that? And it just isn't about knowing on any level. That nothing knows this. This isn't about knowing. There's perhaps some kind of articulation happening, which may seem abstract, conceptual, or energetic, but it's completely got nothing to do with a knower and a known thing. The exploration and the exposure of this is that there is no distance between a knower and a known thing. There isn't actually either a subject or an object. There is only immediacy. There is only what immediately appears to be happening, and everything is that. It's completely all-encompassing, all-embracing, all-inclusive, because whatever is happening is totally equally this, nameless, nothing, everything. So it's not about knowing something. It's not about listening to someone who knows what they're talking about. Hopefully that's clear. There's just an expression of freedom, being everything, not just these words, but even the seeming listening of these words or the sounds vibrating off of the eardrums and whatever else seems to go on for organisms and anything else. The trees, the nature, the sky, it's like everything is equanimously this. And that's it. And all sensations, all thoughts, all feelings and perceptions and whatever else could seem to appear is equanimously this, yeah. And naturally, this is without an edge or a boundary. This doesn't have a direction. It doesn't have a goal to become something, to impress anything or improve anyone. It's just naturally completely free, all by itself. And dimensionality can seem to appear, and we can talk around dimensionality to some extent, even though there's no real such thing as dimension. That's part of this exposure, it would seem. But dimensions can seem to appear, and dimension perhaps makes it sound somewhat significant or special, but it's quite ordinary as well. These dimensions are time and space, consciousness, cause and effect, and subject and object and those things. That's how dimension is talked around or about in this meeting. The dimension of, well, the aspects, you could say, the aspects and attributes of what this appears to be when it seems like there is separation. And of course, that's the appearance of splitness, now and then, here and there, me and you, subject, object, cause, effect, separate things that seem to be apart, and, moving through time towards different places, events in the future, coming from events and places in the past. And all of that is not real. It's an abstraction. The appearance of abstraction seems to create all of these dimensions with it. But without that abstraction energy, which is just boundlessness in disguise, without that, there's no time, there's no space, there's no cause to anything, because all there is nothing appearing as this, immediately being this, shapes, forms, and sounds, but there are no objects. There are no objectifiable shapes, forms, and sounds, lights, and whatnot else. This is without the illusion of a subject to know anything. There are no separate things happening. There's no observational reality that is actually concrete or fundamental. This is absolute void, emptiness. It's totally full. And any attempt to understand something, to get somewhere, to achieve, it's just this appearing as an attempt, immediacy appearing as an attempt to get somewhere. Well, then that's just freedom too, of course, because this freedom is unconditional. So attempts can appear to happen, understanding and analyzing can seem to happen. Whatever is happening is just what it is. Without a story applied to anything, it's actually impossible to talk about this. Of course it is. There's no talking about this. There just is this, talking and listening and whatever else. So it's already free, and there's a kind of liberation in that, an incomprehensible liberation. That liberation, there is only liberation. So there's a liberation in the impersonal revelation that there's never not been that. Yeah. And there's no regret or forgiveness or navigating or negotiating with this appearance when everything is liberation. So it's absolutely hopeless, basically. It's hopeless. It's wonderfully, divinely hopeless that this is already complete, fulfilled, total, absolute, unconditional. So it's so embracing in a way, and that's where the poeticism comes into this, is that this is such an embrace. Like there's such an embrace because everything is equally this. There's no more or less. There's no higher or lower. You can't get closer or further. So it's like all attempts, all imagined ideas of what this should and shouldn't be. It's all totally, it's everything. So when people say, well, what about, but I haven't got it yet, or I haven't fell away yet, I'm still waiting. This always seems to be this way. It's like, no, that's just what's happening. Everything is just what's appearing down. So a celebration, an exploration, an exposure of nothing and everything, which nothing is doing that. There is only nothing being everything, appearing as words like nothing being everything. And we can talk around this.
Alexis. Um, yeah, I suppose it just seems to be just what you just said there in the past couple of days. It just seems to be dawning on this here that uh, everything, everything is. I can't articulate it right. There's nothing out. Yeah, everything. There's nowhere to go. Everything is. There's always a set. Yeah, like everything. I can't get the words out, but like what you just said there, everything is completely and utterly impersonal happening. I've lost the thought of it now. Like there's nowhere to go. Like every attempt to go somewhere is it.
Hmm.
every talking about it is it. There's nothing outside of it.
Yeah.
Like, I think when there's energetically something, however subtly, still feels that it's outside of, yeah. It's like everything starts to collapse in on itself before it even gets to go somewhere,
Mm.
because that's it also.
Hmm.
Yeah, when there's somebody or something or separation, something obviously energetically or whatever way still thinks that there's something, like it's at the, yeah, there's something always still feels separate from everything else. There's everything that's happening, and yeah, like even, yeah, okay, even anyone saying, well, I'm still here, I'm still suffering,
Mm.
that's just immediacy impersonally happening.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. There's nobody in that. It feels almost strange saying it in a way. It's like, it's like nothing is, absolutely nothing is noble or fixed then. Everything's just complete. There's nothing to hang on to then. And it feels almost silly saying it. You kind of go, it can't be that. Yeah.
Yeah. It can't be that simple because I would have saw it by now. If it was that simple,
Mm.
I would have noticed it.
Yeah, but it's energetically some, seems something is always, it, like the compassion that's starting to be seen, how compassionate it is to say, I can't remember the words, but when somebody would say at the meeting, I'm really suffering here, and the only response would be, what, that's that's also it. That's, there's
Mm.
nobody in that. There's nothing personal happening in there. There's nobody in that.
Mm.
That's completely impersonal. Like when that's seen, then how compassionate that actually is.
Yeah, it's not seen by anything though.
Yeah. In a way, it would seem to be the, yeah, it doesn't matter any, you can use all the words you want. It's, you know, the energy that wants to, it's, yeah, seems to be a diminishing of that energy that seems to feel that it's happening to it, or it's something, and then it, there doesn't seem to be a problem somehow.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. It is quite amusing and entertaining without meaning to be a bit sadistic when I say it, but it is quite entertaining to see that that energy, it's deeply disturbing and problematic that there isn't a problem. That there isn't a problem to solve, and somehow or other, for that energy, that seems really problematic or disturbing. So I need a problem. I need a problem so I can work on it and solve it.
Yeah, that's what aggravates me. Well, it aggravated me the most of the meetings was when you especially would always say eh, that there's nothing like you can't see that anything needs to change, be fixed, solved. It really used to make my blood boil.
I know.
Um, but if it's all just impersonally happening, I can't explain. Yeah, I got it. Uh, is it the energetic sense that I'm somehow, you can say whatever you want, but I'm still somehow, there's a subtle sense that I'm still in it suffering. That makes it the problem.
Well, it doesn't know what it's resisting. It just is appearing to be there and not wanting to be there, or not wanting whatever it thinks it has. It doesn't know what it wants, but it wants something. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose uh, when I go to the meetings and we talk about the things that I like to hear about that you really resonate with. I thought about this, is it doesn't really matter, but I don't know if it's that subtle sense that something feels it's getting somewhere when it's resonating and we talk about things that I like that really set me alight in a way that somehow you're getting somewhere. This is good. We're going. But then when it said about nothing, then it's like, yeah, then it's like, why do we have to go there now? Something's, yeah, things were moving along nicely. I felt like I was,
Yeah.
yeah,
So hopeful, right?
yeah, yeah.
The question this morning: if you don't need to earn a living, what do you live for? I don't know why, but it seems somehow feels relevant to what's being realized here. Hmm. Yeah, I suppose, what we could say is this, which is totally boundless, can appear to be bounded, and in that appearance of boundedness, there can seem to be a personal experience happening. And in that personal experience happening, seems to be a sense of continuity moving through time and space. And with that grows perhaps stories, because it is a story in itself. It's a story of going here, there, and everywhere, moving through time and anticipating what's next. And what seems to really nurture and nourish that whole story-based timely energy is meaning. The meaning as to why I live, what I live for, what are my values, what's my ideology, what do I hold close to my heart, or what do I place my heart upon? Values, meaning, purpose, significance, intentions, agenda. It's like I set something significant and I base my life upon it, perhaps for some, and it gives me a sense of direction. And it can't seem, for many bodies at least, for many bodies, it seems like that energy can't live without that direction, that sense of direction, and meaning seems to color that. The purpose to my life, which I think I have. And perhaps it feels like, if it came across this so-called exposure and tried to relate to it, then this just replaces perhaps my other ideologies and beliefs and opinions about what this appearance is, what it means to me, replaces those values, whether they are secular, psychological, philosophical, spiritual, religious, replaces all of that with nihilism. And then that's just the new thing. That's just my new thing, my ideology, what I believe. So I believe that nothing matters. I believe that this is a cold, bleak, empty universe with no purpose behind it. And suddenly all of this seems very cold and dark and miserable when I, the illusory separate self, try to relate to a so-called message that gets called non-duality. And it can't hear that that's nothing to do with it because it can't seem to live without a sense of direction. It is the dream of continuity and therefore momentum towards a destination, whatever that might be. So if it tries to live in tries in its dream of trying to live by non-duality concepts, suddenly this all seems perhaps for that energy quite bleak and nihilistic. But actually, without that whole sense of trying to relate to anything or anyone, and there being no sense of anyone to relate to, or no sense of anything to hold on to, it couldn't be more liberating. Not for anyone, obviously. It's not about being liberating for something. It is all by itself boundlessly liberating. And in that boundless liberatingness, where would the direction be? Where would anything else be if this is already whole? Just unmute yourself.
Yeah, just what I was describing earlier on. Is that in a way just the complete collapse of a felt personal, the personal energy, that this is somehow personal, like you're in it, you're personal, that it's the complete, is it the complete collapse of the personal energy?
You could say that, yeah. It's energy. There's only energy, and when energy seems to be bounded, I think it's interpreted as something personal. Yeah. Because personal is subjective, right? It means it's happening to me. Like this experience is my experience. It belongs to me. I'm having this. I'm here. I am a person. It's that you could say that that is the appearance of personal energy, which is actually impersonal boundlessness in disguise.
Yeah, and when that collapses, not only is everything impersonally happening, but there's nothing separate from that that knows it then.
Exactly.
It's complete collapse. Yeah. That's the bit that gets me. There's not even anything personal in the way. That's the bit I go, no, that can't be right. There has to be something that knows.
Yeah.
Hi, Alexis. May I ask a question about nothing?
So,
Um, Sometimes I get the sense that it's all happening automatically and that the I thought's not doing that much, but it feels really real to me.
hmm,
And when you say it's nothing appearing as something, can you say more about the nothingness of the something?
hmm. Yeah, so nothing is all there is. This is nothing. Whatever is happening is nothing apparently happening. There's no substance to any of this at all. There's no source. It's not made of anything. There's nothing there. And even the most solidified, concrete, real feeling, sensation, or perception of any kind is absolutely that nothingness as well. It's not known by anything because there is only that. And it's not nothing becoming that. It's not nothing turning into something. There's no continuity or progression or process. It's immediately nothing being whatever is appearing to happen. No source, no substance, no solidity, just total emptiness is all there is. All perception is that. All sensation is that. It can't be felt. It's not a feeling. It's what also could be said about it is that there is only boundless energy, and boundless energy can also appear to be bounded, condensed, concentrated, contracted. And in that appearance, everything feels absolutely solid, real, concrete. But there's no solidity there really. There's nothing there. It's completely transparent.
And is that obvious to you? Like
And
it's obvious I'm wearing a pink jumper?
it's not obvious to anyone or anything because there is only that. For if it was obvious for someone, there would be a separate reality. So it's not, there's no you to be Alexis to know that. There's no one that knows it. It's not known by itself either. It just is. It is. But that appearance which seems to be trying to understand that can't see that. But as though that energy disappeared or dispersed, then it just is. It just is.
Can I just interrupt? Yeah, when you say it can't be known by itself. That can't be known by itself because for that to be known by itself, something would have to be separate from it to know it.
Exactly.
Like everything is just immediately itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not, yeah, becoming itself or, yeah, everything's, yeah. I said this to someone last week, I can't remember. It seemed to be, this is what I was trying to articulate it in a way we talk about the end of the me, the collapse of me, or the me will fall away. I think I was trying to say, just was starting to sort of percolate here that it's more than that. With that, it's complete unknowing then. There's nothing that knows.
Hmm.
Yeah. Like it sounds a bit light and fluffy sometimes, the collapse of the me, or me's gone, everything's grand, but it's complete and utter unknowing then. There's nothing that knows that.
Hmm.
Um, yeah.
There's no one to know that there's no one.
Yeah, that's why the speakers, if you want to call it that way, can't really have as much investment in that story, if you want to say, or in the meetings, the sort of they haven't got the same investment. They can't. It's almost like they can't go back and put themselves in the place of the seeker and invest in that whole story and get involved in it. The sort of juice has completely gone out of it. They just can't.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Well, the speaker isn't there to do that anyway.
yeah, I got it. Yeah, yeah,
There's no such thing as a speaker.
yeah.
Can I ask, what is the difference between having your attention on awareness,
Hmm.
also can feel quite impersonal,
Hmm.
um, and at times might, like in that state, there might be like an experience of seeing life as translucent or something like that, but it's an experience. There's still a me.
Hmm.
I mean, what's the difference between that and then no me?
Well, literally everything.
Okay.
It's like they are even though there's no two states to compare, so it's impossible to talk about this really like accurately with words. But that if they were, they would be the complete opposite. Yeah, because that sense of awareness seems to keep itself feeling distant from everything it's knowing about and relating to. It's like I am awareness, and everything I am aware of is distant from me. I'm aware of it. So there's a distance there. There's an awareness of what appears to be happening. And there might also seem to be an awareness of that awareness. The
Mm,
awareness that is aware of all other things. Yeah.
mm,
So in that illusion of there being a kind of echoey, distant center that's aware of what's happening in that appearance can seem to be a retreating and a withdrawing away from what seems to be known by it back into itself, back into its source. So this is what many, awareness teachers are sort of sharing at the moment nowadays. And that's what they seem to be expressing and experiencing. But it's like a bubble. It's kind of like a bubble, and that bubble can seem to get very inflated. It can seem to in that appearance, it can seem to inflate so big that it feels like it's everything. It's no longer feeling like a center anymore. It feels like everything is awareness, but it still requires distance. It still requires a subtle or gross sense of there being a subject that is aware of everything. Um, and the dispersing of this sense of a center altogether, complete total disperse of that energy, there is absolutely no sense of a separate awareness, which really is the only way awareness actually seems to appear, as was described at the beginning, all of that. Without that sense of a center, without that sense of separateness, there's no awareness because it can't be found, it can't be located, it can't be pinned down onto anyone or anything. So this is where it really gets inconceivable, incomprehensible, that there's there's actually no awareness because there's no separate subject to be aware. And then it's really like that whole energy goes to sleep, and then there's only what is appearing to happen in and as immediacy. So all of these words, which apparently previously, seemed to be coming from a center aware of them, now just speak themselves without someone behind them or in front of them. All words, all movements, all gestures and expressions of the body, all perception as well, and all of the apparent objects in a room, it's all equally nothing apparently happening because there's no objects really. There's no separate objects that are under the radar or the microscope of awareness. Well, then it's only immediacy. There's only immediacy. And everything is that. The body is that. The room is that. And of course, when I say the body, it sounds like an object, right? But I don't mean it like that. It's just bodying, rooming, sounding, listening, talking. It's all just ing, nothing inging.
And so is everything, does it feel like everything's of equal importance? The body, the room, the people, or
Well, importance kind of falls apart without separation because importance, along with specialness, requires things to stick out, to be of value to something. So importance and specialness are relative, really. They are relational. Like this is important to me, but that isn't important to me, or this is more important than that. So that, of course, there's, the appearance of bodying happening, and bodying is perhaps looking after itself in the appearance, and it seems to, avoid danger and that stuff in the appearance. But importance as a relative reality, no sense of it. Yeah.
and has the personality changed? Now there's not this sort of prohibition against anger or whatever it was that might have, um, what governs now how the bodying flows, or is there no governance? I
Yeah.
mean, the body doesn't want to end up in jail, but that's quite a low bar. So how does it?
Yeah, yeah. There's no governing, there's no control, but there is the appearance of composure, which, apparently in language I make a distinction. So the body has a composure, it's able to sit up, tall, it's able to hold a posture and speak in a certain way and behave a certain way in which, perhaps avoids getting into trouble and those kinds of things. But there's no control in it. There's no control. There's no driver. So if there's no driver, there's no control, but there's still the appearance of composure. Yeah. And yes, this body, just to talk about it for fun, is quite radically different. Yeah. Because everything is just fully allowed to express itself in a way. There's just there's no one there's not even a sense that anything is being governed, like any behaviors or thoughts are being dictated by someone. So, once upon a time it would have been like feelings and emotions had to be dealt with and certain behaviors weren't allowed, and all that relational and negotiating energy. It's just so obviously fickle.
Mhm. And if in the pre where there was a me, there had been suppressed anger or patterns, like does that energy all collapse when the me collapses, or does it work out after the dissolution of the me? Like,
Hmm. We can't, say anything definitively like once a me collapses, this is how things are going to be from here on out, because there's no rules. really, not real rules. But it just seems like certain behaviors just don't show up. They lose their substance because certain things are not bought into. The investment in how people are supposed to behave and how this should be, and it's all based on the misconceptions that there's real individuality and real free will and choice. A lot of it is based on those particular misconceptions of what this appearance is. Like if there's no free will and choice, then should and shouldn't really just falls apart because it's based on the idea that people are in control and they're supposed to behave a certain way according to the society and culture that they are growing up within and navigating.
Mm.
So certain behaviors, I mean, shame and guilt, it's like there's certain things like that that really because they're sticky, right? Shame and guilt, remorse, like these are heavy, burdensome, sticky energies for an organism that seems to believe that there's someone in there that is supposed to behave a certain way, but didn't quite, hit the mark of what their values were. Well, if there's no one there, if there's no one in a body, then it just where's that going to land? Shoulds and shouldn'ts can't land on anything. They have nothing to stick to. It doesn't mean that upon hearing that, the body just, goes around doing whatever the hell it wants, and abusing people. Obviously, that would be another misinterpretation. Yeah. But everything is just quite natural, really. It's just so that there's just naturalness, yeah. Bodying, naturalness. It's
And
not.
so if somebody is going around abusing people, then it's likely they haven't really had a full realization, like there's something going on there that because some teachers do behave.
Mm.
So there's probably something that's some misunderstanding or
Well, if it's coming from a seeking energy to get something from someone, then it seems like there's an energy that's trying to fill itself up. And narcissist. We were talking about narcissism yesterday and how not like the energy of seeking can really seem to be a great deal of restlessness in a system, and it tries to get what it thinks it wants from other people, you know, and that's when using and abusing can seem to happen a lot, but it's not like the body's going to become, loving and kind 100% of the time if its center falls apart.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah. Thank you, Alexis. I appreciate that.
Thank
Thank you.
you.